Breaking news here on day one of NBA free agency. Jimmy Butler never even made it to the meeting with the Houston Rockets. The Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers have agreed to a sign-and trade here. It's a 4-year, $142 million deal with the Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler. Meanwhile, the 76ers, part of the package they're getting back is Josh Richardson.
Yeah, this is a huge deal here for Miami. They finally get a guy to step in and be the guy right away. All we know right now is that Josh Richardson is headed to Philadelphia and Jimmy Butler is headed to Miami on a max contract.
A 4-year max.
So he'll be getting paid until he's 34. So this could, this is a pretty sizable contract for a guy that's a little past his prime, right maybe in the middle of his prime, and then all Philadelphia gets back is Josh Richardson, so but that's not all they're doing.
I do want to make note here, by the way, that it's the Heat have to send out more. They cannot just send out Josh Richardson. That's why we had that TBD in there in the trade graphic. They can't just send out Richardson. There has to be another piece. Maybe it's Justice Winslow, somewhere in that $13, $15 million range or more in order for this deal to work out. Now, there could be a third team involved here too.
Yeah, it would not
surprise me. Maybe it's the Dallas Mavericks, maybe it's the Hawks, maybe it's the Knicks. There are other teams that can take on big salary, but the Miami Heat have to give out more. And the other big issue here is the Miami Heat do not have a first-round pick to trade away until 2023.
Yeah.
That's why it might be a Justice Winslow caliber player for them.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see what this ends up being for all these roster courts that we'll keep on here. We won't include anybody else, but there will be more that the Miami Heat give up. They have to do it that way in order for the salaries to match because the Heat are so far over the cap here.
Yeah, I mean, this is huge for Miami in all reality just because they were on the cusp of making the playoffs last season in the Eastern Conference. They're only sending out, as of right now, all we know of is Josh Richardson. We think they're going to be sending out more, but Jimmy Butler becomes the man in Miami, and I guess that's what he wanted all along, was to be the guy on his own team, and that's what he is in Miami. And he comes in with Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero was their latest draft pick, Justice Winslow potentially if he's not shipped out, and then Dragic is there and Hassan Whiteside are there, but I wouldn't be surprised if some third team comes in and tries to get one of those two or takes on one of those two in return.
Now, there will be more related to the Sixers here, but first, who won this trade? Type H for the Heat and type P for the Philadelphia 76ers. What do you think here, Jimmy?
I mean, it's an outright signing basically for the Heat, so the Heat have won this deal overall for, as far as we can tell. But there are probably more pieces to come along, so we can't officially say it, but I'm going to say the Heat because they're going to get the best player no matter what.
I agree. All right, so this is what the Heat's lineup looks like as of right now, knowing one of these guys, probably one on the bench, maybe a guy in the starting lineup is on their way out, all right? Tyler Hero's not going to be that guy, but one of James Johnson, if they can get someone to take Ryan Anderson, wow, that'd be incredible. Dion Waiters, he's got 2 years on his deal, probably not him, so Waiters is probably safe there. But Winslow, James Johnson, and Goran Dragic are the obvious fits there of somebody else that might be on their way out in order for the Miami Heat to make this sign and trade work. They're going to ship out Josh Richardson. That's the key piece going to Philadelphia. What we don't know is who else that piece is going to be. But again, the Miami Heat getting a big move here to add Jimmy Butler in a sign and trade. They beat out Houston. They beat out everybody else to land Jimmy Butler.
They beat out Philadelphia. They beat Philadelphia out themselves. I think one potential thing we could see to kind of get this trade all the way through is maybe Miami packages a KZ Okpala, who they just drafted. I believe he was a steal in the draft.
Okay.
And they package him up with maybe a Dragic, maybe a James Johnson, like you just mentioned. I don't think it's enough to unload a guy like
it might
Ryan
be enough
Anderson.
for a Johnson. It might be. I don't know if it actually is, but it could be close.
I think it could. I think Dragic is a good player. I think some team is actually going to end up wanting him for more than just a salary dump. So Miami here getting their guy in Jimmy Butler.
Again, that's the trade details. It's a 4-year, $142 million max deal with Butler going to Miami. Well, he will be the star down there. Heat trying to take a big step forward. Grade this trade, A, B, C, D, or F. Go ahead and grade it for both sides there. Does this make the Heat a playoff team, Jimmy?
I'd say yes, because that 8 seed in the Eastern Conference was totally up for grabs, and now all of a sudden they go out and they get a guy that is almost for sure, a top tier talent. So, I'd say it's an A for the Heat. They get their guy. I'd say, probably it's like a whatever for Philadelphia. They get something back for him. I'll tell you who it's an F for. The Houston Rockets.
Big time loss
because
there.
Now I don't know what they're going to do.
I think they're just going to roll back that roster altogether. Now, the Sixers are not done, by the way. They have signed, or at least agreed to sign, Al Horford to a 4-year, $109 million deal, 97 of which is guaranteed. And then there are incentive bonuses tied to championships. So it is probably a little bit closer to, in terms of the way it'll affect the books, a 4-year, $97 million deal, but it could be worth up to 109. This is how Philly bounced back after losing Jimmy Butler, because I think they would have liked to re-sign him. Didn't end up happening there. Now Al Horford comes in. Here's my question, Jimmy, and I think it's the same one you have. How does he fit alongside Joel Embiid?
That, and how is Tobias Harris's new fit? Because Tobias Harris has been the power forward, the stretch four for so long, and now they're going to slip him in, I guess, as just a small forward, and you have Al Horford, who's more of a center, playing the power forward role, and Joel Embiid. I will say what this does do is now the lack of spacing is a complete non-issue because you have two big men that can shoot the ball, and you have a forward in Tobias Harris who's a knockdown shooter. And that makes up for Ben Simmons and what he can't do. Another thing this does is Joel Embiid doesn't have to be guarded by Al Horford anymore in the playoffs because he hated having to go up against Al Horford. He was horrible against him. Horford was a great defender in that series or whenever he played Embiid. So I like this a lot, actually, for Philadelphia.
Yeah, sticking on this lineup here for a little bit. There are other alternatives here. Al Horford might come off the bench, maybe, as like a super expensive sixth man. You keep Tobias Harris playing that stretch four role. Josh Richardson goes to play more of the 3-guard, and maybe a Zaire Smith, Matisse Thybulle, maybe Mariel Shayk gets a bigger role as well. But I went with the 5 I thought biggest names. No disrespect to Zaire Smith there. But for the 76ers, it could have been a lot worse. I think in the end it's a fine pickup. I still think I would have preferred finding a way to keep Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they would have, but it was kind of Jimmy Butler's decision in the end. It was kind of like, I'm going somewhere else, figure it out. I'm either going somewhere where you can get something back for me or I'm going somewhere where you can't do anything about it. So I think this is all about Jimmy Butler wanting his own team. And they bounced back really nicely by signing a quality center. We've been talking about this, quote, mystery team for Al Horford for so long. I don't think it was Philadelphia.
I don't think it was either.
And they just emerged last second because I'm thinking,
I think it was the Kings.
I'm thinking that mystery team didn't actually end up offering it. They kind of pulled that offer back.
I think it was the Kings.
Then Philadelphia right away was like, okay, let's jump on it while we can.
I think in the end it was the Kings there. So, folks, give us your one-word reaction as I continue to hammer that point home. Horford to Philadelphia. Okay. Not like bad okay, but just like we'll see, which is 2 words. But that's type of okay.
I'll say solid.
Okay, that works.
When I saw it at first, I was like, okay, that's a solid recovery. So I like it. Again, a good recovery here for Jimmy Butler. They lose him. They keep Tobias Harris. They get Al Horford. They keep Mike Scott. Had a pretty nice draft getting Matisse Thybulle. So we'll see what happens in Philadelphia.
And folks, keep those one-word reactions rolling in here. We'll give some shout-outs as well quickly here as I get this pulled up and read them off here. Rhett Brown, he says it in there too. Again, Al Horford going to Philadelphia on a 4-year deal worth up to $109 million. Some of that is incentives. Ends up being a $97 million deal overall. So let me do the quick math there. That's just under $20 million total, which does fit a little bit better with the Sixers' available cap space, by the way. So I think that makes some more sense. So a creative deal there to give Horford the availability to possibly earn more when it's all said and done there.
Yeah, I like it. And in all reality,
someone said sweet. I think that's a good one there for the one-word reaction, too.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what Philadelphia's their takes are on this. I think, chemistry-wise, they're in a better position. Tobias Harris is a really great guy on and off the court. Al Horford is a stud in the locker room. Like, that is a guy you want in your locker room. So, in all honesty, maybe the 76ers end up, I'm not going to say they're going to end up being better off, but from a chemistry standpoint, they could potentially could be.
If you're trying to limit Embiid's minutes, too, which I think they're trying to do,
yeah, I didn't think about that.
Horford does help that in a big way. Because he can play some true 5, and then you don't have to worry about having issues there. As the main thing there.
Yeah.
All right, folks, make sure you are subscribed here. Get us to 125K. We hit the 120K mark. Thank you all very much. But make sure you guys are subscribed here. Maybe some shots for as well. But Jimmy, okay, I think this is the end of day one.
Who knows?
I think, but let us know what you think there. So again, make sure you're subscribed here. What do you make of day one so far?
Wild really early on.
Yeah.
And then,
wild at the end.
It kind of slowed down for a little bit. We're like, all right, we can take a breath. Everyone's, and then bang, couldn't breathe anymore. And Jimmy Butler got traded to Miami, which we knew early on he wanted to go there. We just didn't know how it was going to happen. We still really don't even know how it's going to happen, but we do know he's going to get there. Josh Richardson's going to Philadelphia. Al Horford's going to Philadelphia. Jimmy Butler to Miami.
All right, folks. Also, if you did just subscribe, then help us out to get that 125K mark. Type sub in the comments section. Again, Al Horford goes to Philadelphia. Jimmy Butler goes to the Miami Heat, part of a pretty crazy sign-in trade that happens near the end of day one of NBA free agency. It's funny, we put the Sixers on the winners list at the opening before, and we had the caveat there, depending on what happens with Jimmy Butler. Then Butler gets traded. So in the end, I think about it this way. This has been a swap of Jimmy Butler for Al Horford and Josh Richardson.
Yeah.
I suppose it's fair, even-ish. I don't know how else to describe that one there in the end, you know?
It's just like, Philly's getting something back for a guy they would have lost anyway. He wanted to leave. They let him. They were going to let him leave, but they wanted to get something back, and so they're going to get something back. Josh Richardson is a quality young player who's a little bit overpaid, but it is something in return. It is a player that can start at the two-guard position.
Yeah, folks, keep typing in sub if you guys just subscribed. Do the Heat join your winners list now, by the way?
Yeah.
I think they have to, right?
Yeah, I think they absolutely have to. If you get a top 5 guy in this NBA free agency class, that's absolutely a winner in my book, the Miami Heat getting Jimmy Butler.
And I think the Sixers as well. I don't know where to put them. I think I'm going to dock them from the winners list to positive, but not a full-on winner list either.
Yeah, I think a winner is clear-cut, and Miami is not that quite yet. So, yeah, I think it'll be, I think it'll turn out good for them, but I don't think they're absolute outright winners.
What other surprises did you take note of today that were
from the first day?
Yeah.
Bad surprise, Terry Rozier to the Charlotte Hornets. Another surprise, a little underrated surprise, Thaddeus Young to the Chicago Bulls I thought was interesting. Kevin Durant to Brooklyn did surprise me.
A little bit.
It really did. Another surprise that no one's talking about right now is Klay Thompson hasn't signed or committed yet.
Which is weird.
There's nothing official. Also, we've heard almost nothing on Kawhi Leonard. It sounds like he's going to wait out his free agency decision.
Yeah, he's not going to take any visits. I think the NBA in general here is kind of waiting to see what happens there. But again, folks, type sub in the comments section if you've already subscribed. And by the way, we will be live again tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, with more NBA free agency rumors, news, signings, trades, whatever. So make sure you're subscribed here on Chat Sports.